Somehow, some way, my serum estradiol levels are only 105 picograms per milliliter, which is, let's say, 2.5 times out of the reference range, while running 500 milligrams testosterone, 500 milligrams nandrolone, 150 milligrams testosterone weekly, all without the use of an aromatase inhibitor. Mind you, what the hell is going on? How am I supposed to exacerbate and grow the pre-existing gynecomastia before surgery with these rookie numbers, man? Vigorous Steve here with some more blood work and protocol updates. And just to clarify at the start of this video, the whole reason why I'm doing this Operation Gyno protocol is to exacerbate the pre-existing gynecomastia, which I already had, to limit myself to one surgery, one, to get the job done and never do another surgery to remove gynecomastia ever again, because all of the tissue has been grown and removed. You hear all of these horror stories of guys going in for gyno surgery once, twice, 3 times even, because the doctor leaves a little bit of tissue behind to prevent the nipple from caving inwards, which nowadays you can resolve with a little bit of liposuction and just going with the right surgeon with a lot of experience, right? Spending a little bit more money in the process, which is fine. I don't mind about the money. I just want to do it once so I don't have a downtime of recovery 3 separate times, right? So you hear these horror stories, guys go in for multiple gyno surgeries, the scar gets worse and worse and worse to the point that the nipple looks kind of contorted and disgusting. So my whole idea is to grow the pre-existing gyno that I have. The first time I developed that was when I was 24 years old. After I had my motorcycle accident, I broke my leg. I was out of the gym for a couple months. And then when I started training again, I got increasingly emotional to the point I was almost sobbing and crying on the leg press, partially because I was training legs again. And I had to stay so focused not to break my leg again, obviously, with the plate still being in there. And then I checked my nipple one day and I'm like, what the hell, dude, I have gyno. So I went to the doctor. The doctor did an ultrasound and he's like, yeah, you have gyno. Exactly. You have gynecomastia tissue. Did you take steroids? I was like, no, I'm natural. You can check my hormone panel. I didn't touch any steroids yet, which is not what I told him. That came a little bit later. But I developed this gyno when I was 24 years old, partially or probably because of a hormonal roller coaster, just training insane and then being bedridden for a couple of months trying to recover my broken leg. And then going back to the gym and getting some body fat in the process, obviously, when you go from being physically very active to completely sedentary, watching anime and, trying to get this broken leg under control. I'm not entirely sure. Second time, third time I developed gynecomastia is when I ran nandrolone and trenbolone. I always responded a little bit unfavorably to progestogenic 19 or testosterone derivatives. So whenever I would add in roloxifene, Nolvadex, Primobolan, Mastrone, I would not get that adverse effect of the nandrolone and the trenbolone. But if I ran that solo, which is basically what I'm doing now, nandrolone and trestellone, which is not trenbolone, luckily, but close enough, in those cases, the gyno would grow substantially. So that's what I'm trying to attempt right now. Testosterone to bring serum estradiol levels up, nandrolone for direct progestogenic signaling, and the gynecomastia tissue, and to exacerbate the aromatization that testosterone potentiates. So test plus Deca in a 1-to-1 ratio should result in a lot of estrogen, you would think. And then trestellone, besides the progestogenic signaling, also converts or aromatizes into 7-alpha methyl estradiol, which is pretty terrible for gyno as well, as you can read all of the internet anecdotal reports. I took trestellone and the next day I had full-blown gynecomastia. It doesn't seem to happen for me though. And I'm not entirely sure why. Is that high-dose growth hormone? Is that high-dose anadrol 4 times per week? Is that the YK11? We'll address that as we go through the blood work results. But first, let me show you guys exactly what I look like right now. Hopefully, I won't make you lose your appetite. It's not that bad, honestly. This is my front double bicep. Can still pull a vacuum. Lats are still there. Biceps are still there. Most of the body parts are still there, even though I haven't trained lats and rear delts and traps and biceps for the last 6-7 weeks or so. Again, I've only been focusing on chest, triceps, a little bit of shoulder work, and mostly quads with some ancillary work on the adductors, the hamstrings, and the glutes. So I'm actually a little bit leaner than I was after coming back from the United States. There was a lot of bloat and water retention from the flight and the cheesecakes and the copious amounts of alcohol that I had while I was there. Not a good idea, but man, I need a holiday sometimes also. So I'm actually a little bit leaner. I got some veins in my lower legs and arms again, even though I'm eating twice the amount of food as I did before. And I'm actually slowly getting leaner and leaner and leaner as this diet during the off-season is progressing. So that's a huge plus for me, even though that's not my intention. So triceps are improving a little bit. Quads are definitely improving. Chest is definitely improving. When we look at the back shots, there's not really much to see here because, again, I haven't trained back for the last 7 weeks or so, and there's a good amount of body fat on the back, the lower back, the hamstrings, and the glutes. So let's just skip over that. But from the front, there's some noticeable improvements, and it's not bad for the last 4 to 5 weeks that I've actually had a proper off-season. So here's my current workout split, which is exactly the same as I explained in the previous video, but let's go over it real quick. Monday and Thursday, I train chest, triceps, shoulders, and abs. For chest, I do 3 working sets and 3 back-off sets. For triceps, 2 working sets, 1 back-off set. Shoulders, 2 working sets and 1 back-off set. And then high-volume abs to keep that nice and tight and prevent my stomach from bulging at the end of the day. On Monday, I would focus on mostly high-rep stuff, so let's say 10 to 12 reps on most of the exercises. And then Thursday, I would do a little bit of lower rep range, let's say 8 or 6 to 8 reps, to focus a little bit more on strength and get a little bit different rep ranges, stimulate the different muscle fiber types. On Tuesday and Friday, I would train quads with 3 working sets and 3 back-off sets, hamstrings, 2 working sets, 1 back-off set, adductors, 1 working set, glutes, 1 working set, and then calves, 3 working sets. Again, higher rep ranges in the beginning of the week and a little bit lower rep ranges, focusing a little bit more on strength at the end of the week, because on Sunday I have a refeed/cheat day. So this workout split seems to be working quite well. And I think I'll keep this workout split going, but I'll add in a 5th workout day on Saturday, focusing on rear delts, lats, back in general, traps, and a little bit of biceps. Because again, even now, I mean, the biceps are still there, the lats are still there, the rear delts, I mean, you can see them from the front. It's disgusting. Must be the copious amounts of steroids and growth hormone that I'm on to prevent them from shrinking and atrophying during this off season. But again, they get plenty of stimulation doing the heavy stuff for chest, triceps, shoulders, and the legs, the lower body. So I don't really need them to grow, but a little bit of fullness, a little bit more detail would be nice. But we'll do that when this off season is done, and I'll add in a 5th workout day when the calories come down, and we'll change the protocol by that time. Let's review the diet, because the diet has changed quite a bit since the last video. The last video, I think I was eating about 3,300 calories, and right now I'm already up to 4,600 calories. Some days it's even 5,000 calories. So I increased the eggs from, I think, 3 to 5 whole eggs, reduced the egg whites a little bit, so now it's 7 egg whites, so it's 12 eggs, right, but I remove 7 yolks. Still eating 100 grams of kale and 100 grams of green beans. I removed all of the spices because that was giving me some digestion issues over the last couple of months, to the point I suspect I had full-blown candida. We'll get that after we discuss the diet. So I replaced a lot of the spices that were exacerbating my digestion and giving me terrible bloating. All of those I bought in the United States. So I don't know what you guys are doing with your spices, but it's not good, man. The Thai spices that I get here, totally fine. Maybe because I'm used to it, but the American spices, half of which contain a boatload of sugar, they all went in the trash. And then I added in some sauerkraut with every meal to kind of help, with the digestion of carbohydrates. Still using a 2 milliliters extra virgin olive oil cooking spray with my kale and green beans. And then I increased the mixed nuts, I think, from 30 grams to 60 grams with most meals. So you see that meal 2 has 250 grams of chicken, meal 3 also, same amount of vegetables, same amount of sauerkraut, same amount of mixed nuts. And then meal 4 is 300 grams of salmon, which pairs better with kimchi compared to sauerkraut. So I get some probiotics from kimchi and sauerkraut in over the day. Still get 60 grams of mixed nuts, but sometimes I replace that for the whole avocado. And I don't have any vegetables with that meal, but I have a little bit of blueberries. I had to remove the watermelon and the pineapple because they were bloating me up. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the watermelon is too high on the FODMAP, even though this amount of mixed nuts and chia seeds is also pretty high up on the FODMAP scales. Right? There's a certain range of what you can eat of these mixed nuts and chia seeds before it goes from low FODMAP to high FODMAP, simply because of all of the fiber content. I mean, I'm eating 96 grams of fiber over the day. So I might at one point, if I want to eat more calories, reduce the vegetables, maybe 1 serving of kale and green bean with breakfast, and then 1 serving of a little bit of salad vegetables at the end of the day, and then not have anything during the day. But it kind of depends on how it goes and how my digestion is taking it. Now it's 10 times better than it was before, with minimal bloating at the end of the day. But as soon as I deviate, man, Man, on Sunday, it's the digestion is absolutely trash, but I still like to go out and eat something a little bit more off menu than I do usually. All right, where were we? Last meal, 250 grams of beef, 50 grams of chicken, 2 whole eggs, and a whole avocado with some more sauerkraut, resulting in a diet of 4,640 calories, 400 grams of protein, 130 grams of carbs, 95 grams of fiber, and 270 grams of fat, with, let's say, a 2-to-1 ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s, 28,800 milligrams omega-3s over the day, and 14,500 milligrams omega-6s over the day, besides the omega-3s and the other fat sources that I get from my supplementation, which we'll put on the screen a little bit later on. 2,700 milligrams of dietary cholesterol. So all in all, a boatload of calories, a boatload of food volume, albeit that it's less food volume than eating a similar amount of calories coming from protein, carbs, and then keeping the fats reasonably low. This works very well for me. As you can see, I'm full as a house. Could be from the little bit of carbs that I had yesterday. But the training is absolutely great. The contractions are absolutely great. The stamina in the gym, absolutely great. The cognition is great because, again, this is a ketogenic diet and most of the carbs are coming, from slow digesting carbohydrate sources and the fast carbohydrate sources I have around the workout or in the evening when all of my work is already done. So this is working pretty well. And of course, I might change my workout around to an evening workout, depending on how much stuff I have to do over the day. Generally speaking, on Monday and Tuesday, I go to the gym in the morning around 3 o'clock. And then on Thursday and Friday, I go to the gym in the evening around 9 o'clock in the evening. Moving over to the supplementation. You guys always ask me, Steve, what's your supplementation plan? Now, I just recorded a video about all the over-the-counter supplements which men should be and women should be running year-round, depending on the phases of the cycles that they're in. So I'll go a little bit more in depth in these upcoming videos, discussing the vitamins and the minerals in a separate video compared to the general health supplements like citrus bergamot, fish oil, and N-acetylcysteine, etc. It will be 2 separate videos. This is my protocol on the screen right now. Give that a read and then watch for those videos to drop where I go a lot more in depth and give some general recommendations on the dosage ranges for each vitamin or micronutrient or health supplement that I would recommend people to take during various phases of their cruise or their HCG monotherapy or their full-blown steroid cycle, right? Let's review the cycle real quick. I increased the testosterone from 325 milligrams per week to 500 milligrams per week last week, so that's now slowly building up. And I removed the Bayer Testoviron for Belligas Pharma testosterone enanthate, which is basically my entire cycle is now all underground labs for the first time in years, but it seems to be working well so far. And everybody in Thailand is running Belligas and they all get great results. So might as well join the herd and go full UGL again, which I haven't done in a very long time. So it's 500 milligrams testosterone enanthate, 500 milligrams nandrolone decanoate, 150 milligrams trestrolone acetate, 200 milligrams androgel per week. So that's 50 milligrams pre-workout 4 times per week. And then 30 milligrams of YK11 on basically every single day. Before I would take it 30 milligrams before bed, but now I decided to split it up because I seem to get a little bit better effect taking 15 milligrams in the morning and 15 milligrams in the evening, all sublingually because I don't want to pass anything through the liver and potentiate additional liver stress on top of all the other stuff that I'm taking and keeping my digestive tract as good as possible. The total weekly steroid intake is 1,560 milligrams, which is basically the highest I'm willing to go at 41 years old. I haven't done this in a very long time where my steroid intake is high, but also my food intake is pretty high with all of the peptides that I'm running. This is basically the maximum that I think I need for my quads and my chest and my other body parts to grow quite substantially over the next couple of months. And otherwise, well, what more can I do? Take more growth hormone? Probably not. I can increase the food a little bit from 4,600 to 5,000, which is where I kind of max out. And then I would just need to ride that roller coaster of 1,500 milligrams steroids and 5,000 calories for as long as I can stomach it, basically. DHEA is still the same, 37.5 milligrams daily. Mercovitral, 500 IUs 3 times weekly. That's HCG for the uninitiated. I switched from Tiger Pharma GH to Belligas Pharma GH. 10 IUs subcutaneous before bed on chest days and 20 IUs subcutaneous before bed on quad days. So 1 vial on chest day and 2 vials on quad days, a total of 60 IUs over the week. So I take off from the growth hormone on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it seems that switching from the belly gas and limiting it to 4 injections per week really minimizes the water retention. Now, that could be because belly gas generic growth hormone has more mannitol in it, which acts as a diuretic, or simply some of the binders that were in the Tiger Pharma growth hormone were a little bit more water retentive than what is in the belly gas. So you never really know when you send it for lab testing or you do serum analysis, which I did before this blood work, which we'll get into. You only get the purity and the potency, and you see your serum levels, but you don't exactly know what the other 0.5 to 3% of the non-purities are. So I guess we'll never really know. All I can tell you is that I'm a little bit drier on the belly gas GH compared to the Tiger. GH I was running before, which gave me terrible edema. I mean, when I went to Dubai or the United States, I had terrible edema, even though I stopped the Tiger GH a week before I went to the United States. Man, edema galore. So I'm going to continue with the belly gas GH. It tests very nicely on serum levels. I've done it twice now. Again, we'll get to that a little bit later on in the blood work review part of this video. But so far, I'm happy, and I'm not going to switch. Might I take 2 vials of belly gas GH after chest day? Let's see. And it's reasonably inexpensive. Ipsen Increlex, still 1,000 micrograms pre-workout 4 times per week for a total of 4,000 micrograms weekly. And let's see, regarding the metabolic modulators, injectable carnitine, pretty much the same, 500 milligrams before fasted cardio, and again, 500 milligrams before the workout. SLU-PP332, I'm keeping in this entire off-season for mitochondrial function and preventing fat gain, which I think is contributing quite nicely. I feel that I'm getting leaner slowly as this off-season is progressing, which sounds counterintuitive, but if I can recomp at 115 kilos, then I'm not going to complain. 750 micrograms SLU-PP332 daily. MOD-C 1 milligram sub-Q upon waking on workout days, 4 times weekly. Really helps with energy levels and mitochondrial function as well. I'm taking a moderate aminos injectable coenzyme Q10, 300 milligrams pre-workout, 4 times weekly, alongside diisopropylamine dichloroacetate, 50 milligrams on chest day and 100 milligrams on quad day. Man, that combination of coenzyme Q10 and diisopropylamine dichloroacetate, I have to look at it, otherwise I don't know how to pronounce it. Insane. Man, my workout capacity and the rest time in between sets, brutal. Yeah, I could highly recommend you give that combination a try. Of course, in combination with SLU-PP332, MOD-C, methylene blue, with the mitochondrial upregulation and the ATP synthesis, and then the ATP recycling from DADA. Man, it's something else, dude. I think you got to experience it before you understand. But yeah, it's substantial. You feel like a fucking machine in the gym. And those workouts are so short, it's almost a waste of driving to the gym because you're in there for like 45 minutes to 1 hour. You're like, that's it. That's it. I did chest, shoulders, triceps, or I did my quad workout with working sets and backup sets and all that stuff. And I'm already done in 1 hour, 15 minutes. Man, I used to go to the gym for 2 hours, but now I'm done so fast. More time for fun stuff. More time for video games. Modern aminos, joints of steel with 150 milligrams N-acetyl-D, glucosamine, 40 milligrams chondroitin, and 40 milligrams methyl sulfonyl methane, MSM, 1 cc morning and evening. So I'm doing 2 cc's per day. I'm almost done with my 3rd vial. Then I'm going to throw in the towel on the joints of steel for a bit to kind of see how my joints and connective tissue respond to this nandrolone plus anadrol plus YK11 cycle, because YK11 allegedly dries out the joints. Anecdotally, that's what I've heard on, from many of you guys posting in the comment section, and what I read on, Reddit and all the cycle reports, that YK11 dries out the joints. But I've experienced none of that. Is that the nandrolone keeping the synovial fluid and protecting my joints with enough joint lubrication, and the high estradiol, which is not as high as I expected it to be, or the joints of steel? I think it's a combination of all. But I would say that based on the workload and the stress and the poundages that I subject my connective tissue to, with the time under tension and the insane slow rep ranges, right, or the high rep ranges, but increasingly elevated time under tension, which I really tried to build up. So we're talking about 1 minute sets. Yeah, this joints of steel is something else. It's good stuff. I'm going to take it out about a week from now when I ran out of my 3rd vial. So that's 60 milliliters in. And then let's see what happens, right? Does the joint pain come back? Or is this enough to kind of protect my joints for the next couple of weeks months while I'm subjecting myself to crazy poundages in the gym. Bayer Tationel, injectable glutathione, 600 milligrams 4 times per week, post-workout before bed. Eltroxin T4, 100 micrograms before bed. Telmisartan, 40 milligrams upon waking. 5 milligrams Nabivolol upon waking. 10 milligrams ezetimibe upon waking. 50 milligrams fluvoxamine before bed in combination with 5 milligrams methylene blue upon waking. I'm using the Modern Aminos formula now because they just released their methylene blue in 5 milligram and 10 milligram tablets. Check out the source list or head over to their website in case you're interested in running the methylene blue stack with SLUPP332 and Mod C. I mean, Modern Aminos has got all three. They got you covered. And use my discount code to save yourself some money because that goes a very long way. Of course, there's some potential SSRI and myo-inhibiting effects, serotonin syndrome drug interactions, potentially there, right? Combining fluvoxamine with methylene blue, but at a low dose of 50 milligrams fluvoxamine and a low dose of 5 milligrams, even 10 milligrams methylene blue, I have not experienced any kind of negative effect so far, which I did experience combining 5 milligrams vortioxetine with 3 milligrams methylene blue. I mean, that gave me full-blown serotonin syndrome, so never again. Let's see, I switched from cerebrolizin, 5 milliliters before bed, which that 2-month experiment of cerebrolizin has now been concluded, to Geropharm Cortexin, 10 milligrams intramuscularly before bed. I got about, I think, 5-6 vials left, and then I'll be able to finish the cerebrolizin deep dive, comparing that to Cortexin. I'll give you the spoiler alert. I don't notice anything switching from cerebrolizin to Cortexin. If anything, I feel that the Cortexin is a little bit less potent regarding neurogenesis and the improvement of sleep quality. I felt better on the cerebrolizin, but again, we got 6 days left of experimentation, and then I'll draw my conclusions after I review the relevant scientific evidence. Stay tuned for the deep dive. Might drop sometime in January because, well, we got December coming up, and December is full with holidays, as I also need a holiday once in a while. And the nootropics are pretty much the same. Dihexa, Nupep, Bromantane, intranasal Semax, maybe some alpha-GPC or gorilla mode respawn or a combination thereof, right? It depends on the job and what I want to accomplish that day. And I'm still running some experiments with Amino Asylum Stampede and the Monster Pump blend, or Modern Amino Zeus Juice, Max Drive, and the Motivator. I usually take the Motivator before leg day, but it's a little bit inconsistent, so that's why I didn't include it in the protocol. Same for Stampede. Sometimes I feel naughty and I know that I had a boatload of energy and I want a super pump, right? A massive pump on my chest. So instead of having a chest pump to here, my tatas are literally here. And then imagine with the gyno that's on top of that. I mean, it's obscene, dude. Chest is literally, you're choking yourself with these kinds of pre-workouts. Bathmate protocol is still pretty much the same. That's coming to a close sometime around Christmas time. Hopefully I can drop that video before Christmas so you know exactly how to run Undractim DHT cream with BPC 157, TB500, high dose growth hormone, HCG, and a Bathmate. So far, the community experiment has been going very well. I mean, I get the daily updates from some of you guys or weekly updates regarding the gains that you've been making on these protocols. And again, if you want to join or you don't want to wait for the video to drop, the article is literally on my website on how to combine all of these compounds with a little bit of a breakdown on how much money you're going to spend, because the full protocol is kind of expensive and it's basically more expensive than a steroid cycle. So yeah, if you want to make those PP gains, yeah, you have to spend some money, but hey, surgery is more expensive. You can always put those beads in there if you want an alternative. I wouldn't do that personally. My gains have been around the inch mark. Yeah, good stuff. So maybe the Undractim DHT cream is preventing the aromatization of the testosterone into estradiol, but we'll get into that because now it's blood work review time. Urinalysis, pretty much the same. Specific gravity 1.008, which means I should have drank a little bit more water. I'll be honest, it should be like 1.003 to 5, but I drank 2 liters of water and had a cup of coffee before I went in for blood work. But maybe I'm maybe just a little bit dehydrated. pH is 6, a little bit acidic on the urine, but nothing crazy. And then everything else is pretty much the same as last month, right? No glucose, no protein, no blood, no nitrates, no ketones, no urobilinogen, no bilirubin, no leukocytes, and trace amounts of white blood cells, red blood cells, and episquamous in my urinalysis. And everything else is none. So all good there. White blood cell count is in range 6,500 cells per cubic millimeter. Hemoglobin is normal, came down a little bit. Just like hematocrit and red blood cell count came down with, let's say, 2% compared to last month. So there's about 4 weeks between the previous blood work results and these blood work results. Mean corpulus volume, hemoglobin concentration, and hemoglobin, it's all pretty much the same. Red cell distribution width came down slightly. Platelets, pretty much the same. So there isn't really much to report here. And the white blood cell count differential is also pretty much the same. So let's not spend too much time here. Moving over to the blood chemistry and kidney function, you see that my blood glucose upon waking, my fasting blood glucose is now in the diabetic range of 101 milligrams per deciliter. I check my fasting blood glucose levels every single day. Usually I'm about 68 to 72 milligrams per deciliter. I think that this is because my growth hormone administration, I did 2.5 hours before going in for blood work because I just wanted to double test the potency of the belly gas GH because, well, if you're going in for blood work, you might as well, right? So this is the only fluctuation. Right? During the week, my fasting blood glucose levels are pretty much the same. The only difference right now on this blood work compared to what I normally have is that I had a cup of coffee and I took a bolus shot of growth hormone. Blood urea nitrogen came down again. Protein intake is pretty much the same, albeit that my caloric intake is a little bit higher. So that's a good reduction. It's actually quite low. Blood urea nitrogen for the amount of protein that I eat. Creatinine came down slightly, probably had some lingering creatine monohydrate in my system from the previous blood work, which I've now removed entirely. Cystatin-C results I'm still waiting for because it takes a couple days. So I'm expecting that to be around the bottom of the reference range, but I'll list those results in the comment section or description section as soon as I get them in. Fingers crossed I'm not in full-blown kidney failure. Uric acid came up a little bit. Creatine phosphokinase came from, let's say, 1,700 to 2,200 units per liter because I'm training a lot harder, so that's meant to be expected. High sensitivity C-reactive protein is very, very low. So again, all the more power for Bellicus Pharma for using MCT oil, even though their high-dose concentration formulas contain ethyl oleate, so personally I avoid those. But the normal concentration formulations, MCT oil, no inflammation, finally an undergrad lab in Asia that gets it. Unlike all of the other labs, which I still see blood work all the time, using lab XYZ and then C-reactive protein is like 25 because of the synthetic solvents that they use. Well, we have deep dives on that. Give it a watch if you haven't already. I check my lipase and amylase levels just to make sure that there's no issues with my pancreas, because again, I was running tirzepatide for a while and erythropoietin, and removing those compounds in some people give some digestive issues, which, you know, I'm trying to tackle boxes to see what the root cause of my digestive issues were after coming back from the United States, which I kind of pinpointed down to candida overgrowth. So I just wanted to see if there was an issue with my lipase and amylase. I haven't run erythropoietin for weeks now. I haven't touched tirzepatide or any kind of glucagon like peptide 1 receptor agonists combined with GIP and glucagon or not. So I'm happy to announce that that's totally fine. But I did introduce Creon 40,000, which contains pancreatic enzymes to kind of help digest some of the larger meals, because I do feel that there's some enzymatic insufficiency, because now that I'm eating so much food with certain meals, right, like 1,100 calories with breakfast, I do feel that I need a little bit of digestive support. So I tried several digestive enzyme formulas you can buy over at iHerb. Never really worked for me. So the pharmaceutical Creon 40,000, each containing 400 milligrams pancreatin, corresponding to 25,000 units of amylase to help break down carbohydrates, 40,000 units lipase to help break down fats, and 1,600 units protease to help break down protein. So I'm taking Creon 40,000 with breakfast, post-workout meal, and the last meal of the day, and it seems to help support my digestion, keeping my stomach flat alongside removing all of the simple sugars and the condiments. And you think it's off season, right? So I'm going to go with copious amounts of ketchup now because I can get away with it. No, unfortunately not. So it's salt and pepper for me, and then taking the rest of the flavor from the sauerkraut and the mixed nuts and the chia seeds and, well, the vegetables, which, well, you guys know that kale is pretty freaking bitter. But the salt makes up for it, and the Creon 40,000 helps with the digestion of all of this copious amounts of food 3 times per day. And just to clarify, I did not take Creon 40,000 the day before going in for blood work. So this lipase and amylase that you see right here is a natural production coming from the pancreas. I didn't check my serum electrolytes because I didn't feel need to. I mean, we all know that I look like Shrek and I'm bloated, but I've checked it so many times that I just glanced over it. I'll check it again next time. Serum lipids, total cholesterol went up slightly, well, which is to be expected because my steroid dosages went up, even though it's only been a week, going from 1,100 milligrams per week to 1,560 milligrams per week. Oral intake is exactly the same. So let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks when I do follow-up blood work. Triglycerides increased from 28 to 59. Is that loss of insulin sensitivity? Is that full-blown diabetes? Or is that the growth hormone administration that I did 2.5 hours before? I'll keep my eye on it. Again, my fasting blood glucose levels are normal. My fasting insulin levels are normal. We'll get into that. But if this triglyceride is trending upwards, and again, I suspect that the last time I went in for blood work, I did take a shot of 500 milligrams injectable L-carnitine because you have your routine, right? You wake up, you do your shots, and then instead of going for fasted cardio, you go in for fasted blood work, even though it's not entirely fasted because you had shots of drugs. And this time I certainly did not take 500 milligrams injectable carnitine before going in for blood work. So maybe that's why my triglycerides are a little bit higher. HDL did not worsen, but I would expected it to come a little bit higher with the copious amounts of healthy fats that I'm eating. Well, at least it didn't get any worse. So HDL is, let's say, 30 milligrams per deciliter. LDL is, let's say, 70 milligrams per deciliter. Lipoprotein A, same. Apolipoprotein A1, same. And apolipoprotein B, pretty much the same. So nothing to see here. Liver panel, pretty much the same besides the liver enzymes. They went up slightly, which, again, is to be expected being on sublingual anadrol and sublingual YK11. And the training a little bit harder, right? Training intensity has been ramped up quite a bit. And these liver enzymes are also found in skeletal muscle. But I will say that I would expect ALT to be a little bit higher than AST because ALT has a, 47-hour half-life. So it takes a lot longer to metabolize from the body if that's elevated from training. Whereas AST has a half-life of 17 hours, give or take. So you would expect that to come down a lot lower. So you would expect an AST half of the ALT if it was really training related. But it's not fully training related because, well, as you'll see from the protocol, I'm on, 20 different compounds and they all pass through the liver besides the anadrol and the YK11, which I take sublingually, but everything else, and that still passes through the liver, let's be honest, just bypassing the first pass. So the second pass is now the first pass, which is at a higher concentration because you prevent the breakdown. You have higher bioavailability by taking it sublingually. So the second pass, which is now the first pass, basically accounts for 2 passes. And how much of a difference is it going to make? So yeah, I don't expect my liver enzymes to be absolutely normal. And yeah, the elevated AST, even though the half-life is significantly lower than the ALT regarding metabolism from the body, that just shows that it's not all training related, but also drug related. Let's be honest. Alkaline phosphatase came down a little bit because I reduced my magnesium glycinate from 300 milligrams to 200 milligrams, which I think is totally fine, honestly. And gamma GT came up slightly, even though I'm still on top of my carnitine and injectable glutathione and coffee. So no biliary issues as of now. Ferritin and serum iron are normal, both, even though my ferritin dropped from 330 to 156, so that's a reduction of 50%. Maybe the last time I had some liver inflammation coming back from the United States. And now that I completely revamped my diet and my digestion is finally under control besides Sunday, which is, well, the day when I do blood work, but I go in for blood work before I eat like an might I still do that, but I need it mentally. Can't live without eating like an once in a while. So basically the last time I suspected a little bit of liver inflammation coming back from the United States. And now it seems that ferritin levels are middle of the range. So with the homocysteine being normal and the high sensitivity C-reactive protein being normal, I don't see any signs of inflammation here. And serum iron is pretty much the same. So that's all good. Thyroid panel, as you guys might have remembered, last time I forgot to take T4 for a week. So my free T4 and total T4 were kind of low, but my total T3 and free T3 were still in range. But now that I started supplementing with 100 micrograms T4 before bed again, alongside these high bolus growth hormone shots 4 times per week, you see the total T3 and free T3 increased, or at least the free T3 increased. Could also be from a reduction of thyroid binding globulin levels by increasing the steroid intake, which is known to reduce thyroid binding globulin and freeing up more thyroid hormones. And by adding in the T4, the T4 levels are now almost, let's see, total T4 is slightly below the reference range and free T4 is within normal parameters. Thyroid stimulating hormone did increase a little bit, but it's all normal. So again, fluctuations, which is to be expected with some protocol. Adjustments. Moving over to the sex hormones, cortisol is pretty much the same, 10 to 12 micrograms per deciliter. I would say that that's a normal fluctuation. Don't need to make any affirmative changes by taking phosphatidylserine and ashwagandha root extract or reducing my training volume and taking a deload, right? I think it's a normal cortisol levels. I'll keep my eye on it, and if I see dramatic changes, cortisol going to 20 or 25 micrograms per deciliter, then yes, maybe I need some phosphatidylserine and a proper deload. Estradiol, though, surprisingly, a reduction of almost 20% from 127.5 to 104.3 micrograms per milliliter, which I did not expect because I was on last time, I was on 325 tests and 300 nandrolone and 100 Deca or 100 trestalone, and now increased at the 500 tests, 500 nandrolone and 150 trestalone, even though it's only been a week. I would expect this estradiol to be like 200, 250. So what's going on here? Is this the growth hormone reducing aromatase enzyme potential, which is not unheard of? No scientific evidence to support that, but I do know people with higher growth hormone intake that they seem to aromatase very little, especially when you use DHT derivatives. Their estradiol is like 4, right? I mean, when Chase was running 5 grams a test and what is the 18 IU's growth hormone per day, his estradiol levels were normal, right? Or actually quite low for what you would expect on that much growth hormone or that much testosterone. And I've seen it with other people as well, running pretty high dosages of tests and a good amounts of growth hormone, is that their aromatization is kind of low. Nothing in the scientific evidence to support it, but blood work, we can extrapolate something from that. Is it the YK11 acting as a reversely binding aromatase inhibitor? I don't know. I'm not a biochemist, so I'm not sure if it's structurally capable. The molecule looks kind of funky, I'll tell you that. And it's a progestin, so some of the progestin-based compounds do have aromatase enzyme inhibiting capabilities. Off the top of my head, I don't exactly remember, but I do know that there's a list of progestins which are known to act as aromatase inhibitors as well, and sex hormone synthesis inhibitors at multiple steps. So is it the YK11? I mean, anecdotally, we hear a lot of reports that YK11 gives you dry joints, dry skin, makes you very tight, alters your libido to a certain extent, but that is usually coming from the guys that run YK11 solo. If any of you guys have run YK11 on a testosterone base, did it lower your estradiol levels? I mean, I would like to include that in a YK11 deep dive. So far, I really like YK11 in this combination of tests, nandrolone, trestalone, and anadrol, because I feel like I'm growing every day. I'm getting stronger every day, and the muscle tightness is nice, but it's not to the point that you would get from Winstrol, right? And again, I'm not running it solo. I don't have any intention to run YK11 solo. But so far on this off-season stack, I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot. I'm going to be honest. Of course, all the calories that I'm eating, I like also. So yeah, is the YK11 reducing my estradiol levels? Is my gear fake? I don't think so. I mean, it's all third-party tested, and everybody else is running Billy Gus here, and they look exactly like they're supposed to be looking. So I don't know. Is it the anadrol acting as a reversely binding aromatase inhibitor? Could be. It's a DHT derivative. It could interact with the estrogen receptor, potentially at gynecomastia. I mean, my gyno is growing, but not to the point that I would expect it to, right? The left side has barely grown. The right side has grown quite a bit, but the left side, I don't know. And it's difficult to tell because my body fat levels have changed. So I do feel that they're more sensitive and then it's growing. But I would expect my estradiol levels to be significantly higher by this point. Also based on the fact that I'm running 500 IU's HCG 3 times per week. I don't know. Maybe as I get older, my aromatase enzyme expression in adipose tissue is magically going down. Progesterone increased. Not sure why. I'm not running pregnenolone. Maybe it's a progestogenic nandrolone and trestalone detecting as progesterone, but then I would have seen that on previous blood work results, which I have not. So I don't know where this progesterone is coming from, but it is an increase of 150%. Prolactin went up almost to the top of the reference range. We're at 17 nanograms per milliliter now. Libido, I will tell you firsthand, and erectile quality, well, maybe it's the DHT protocol, right? The bathmate protocol. I'm talking about estradiol. Maybe it's a topical DHT that I'm applying once or twice per day, going systemic and acting as a reversely binding aromatase inhibitor. I did not check my serum DHT levels. I should have, no? I know baseline DHT levels, but I don't know where my DHT levels are on 500 milligrams testosterone. And this protocol is almost coming to a close. So I could remove the DHT, I could remove the Anadrol, and I could remove the YK11. But all of them are giving me significant gains. Should I add in the Dianabol orally to get some aromatization in the intestinal tract, and combining Dianabol with nandrolone and tristolone for sweet estradiol, 7-alpha methyl estradiol, and methyl estradiol gynecomastia gains? My blood pressure is in range. Let me know down below in the comment section if you want me to make some changes, because I'm honestly at a loss for words. This is not what I expected. Anyway, so prolactin is high, but my libido is unaffected. Total testosterone, free testosterone, bioavailable testosterone is undetectably high, so it increased by at least 200% since the last blood work results, and now it's over 3,500 nanograms per deciliter on my total testosterone. That's the highest that Bria Labs goes. Will I ever get 20,000 nanograms per deciliter? Chase Irons was able to achieve that, but that's not my immediate goal, I would say. SHBG, a significant drop from 20 to 8 nanomoles per liter. It's probably more time on oral steroids and being on higher dosages, obviously. And again, if my estradiol was like 200, 250, my SHBG might have been 15. Maybe I should inject some estradiol Valerate. I can get it over the counter here. Estradiol Valerate or Dianabol. I know, you pick and choose. Let me know down below in the comment section which direction I should be going in. Should I remove something or add in something? But I'm only going to add in one thing: estradiol Valerate injections or Dianabol. Again, the whole goal is to grow gyno. So I do feel I have a little bit of wiggle room to bring my serum estradiol levels up to 200, 250 picograms per milliliter, which is the highest I would be willing to get it to for comfort, to see if I can exacerbate this gyno. But apparently in this protocol, it's not going to happen. So I need to add in something. Let me know down below what you feel suitable. We have about 4 weeks left to get the job done. DHA sulfate, same. Growth hormone, again, I did the serum test before 10 IUs intramuscularly right here in the shoulder 2.5 hours before drawing blood. The previous time it was 32 nanograms per milliliter, and now it's 34 nanograms per milliliter. You see that my IGF-1 levels are nice and high, 434 nanograms per milliliter. Part of that IGF-1 is still lingering from the Friday administration of 20 IUs growth hormone. And then some of this is coming, and the Increlex probably, right? It has a 36-hour half-life. So some of the Increlex and the IGF-1 pulse that I got from 20 IUs growth hormone is still lingering from Friday on Sunday morning. And then additional IGF-1 is being produced from this 10 IU shot that I took 2.5 hours pre. IGF-1 binding protein 3 is still within normal parameters, 3,500 nanograms per milliliter. So a good amount of this IGF-1 is free. Anyway, hemoglobin A1C is 5 or 4.9%. So far, so good. So these are the blood work results. I don't think I need to make any protocol adjustments, because besides maybe doing estradiol Valerate or Dianabol, adding that in or replacing the Anadrol for Dianabol, again, let me know what you prefer. I don't think I need to make any changes, right? I already made some changes last week by increasing the test and the nandrolone and the tristolone with an increment of, let's say, 50%. So 1,500 milligrams is where I'm going to keep it. If you guys want me to take the Dianabol, I'll take the Anadrol out, see if I can get some phenomenal bloody super pumps, turning myself into the Michelin Man even further. And if I go with injectable Valerate, it's probably going to be 1 milligram per day, and then do blood work 2 weeks into it just to see how it's going. But 2 weeks should be enough to kind of assess my response to estradiol Valerate subcutaneously, even though it's an ethyl oleate. I don't really want to use ethyl oleate. I don't know. I kind of shot myself in the foot here, right, with this protocol. I now got to see it through. I don't see anything in the blood work that's alarmingly off to the point I need to pull the plug. That mostly has to do with my digestion, but I'm keeping that under control as of now. But again, I do feel that this cycle is coming to a close. And even though I could continue the off season for, I think, 6 more months, right, until February, give or take, March, or do a 6-month off season in total, I do feel mentally that I'm ready to pull the plug on this cycle around Christmas time and then kind of detox. Yeah, so let's say I got a month left mentally until, that's about a month from now. I got a month left on this cycle mentally. I'm having a lot of fun during the off season, having a lot of fun training super hard, but I do feel that it's a job. Yeah, I missed the off season, but I also didn't miss the off season. Well, I'm sure you guys can relate. Eating all of this food and being a little bit bulky and puffy and not fitting into your clothes and being copious or very, very sweaty at the gym. It has its charms, but it certainly has its downsides. All right, let's leave it here. This is the update for now. If you want to do your blood work yourself, you can head over to Merrick Health. They have a Black Friday sale on their diagnostic screening and patient care coordinating, so they can help you interpret your blood work results. So instead of the 10%, you get 25% with the link down below using Black as your discount code instead of Vigorous. But if the Black Friday deals and the Cyber Monday deals have already been closed, then it's just 10% with code Vigorous. And I'll link all of the other Black Friday deals and Cyber Monday deals down below as well, because Gorilla Mind has got some deals, Intelligent Shop has got some deals, Monitored Aminos, Amino Asylum, Cosmic Nootropics, they all have separate deals for some of their products, offering various amounts of discounts, right, with various discount codes. If you can't find them here, you can find them on my website, or head over to my Instagram, where I probably share those on my stories the entire week, so you can save yourself some money while shopping online, and then you have more money to spend on blood work. Because I know blood work isn't cheap. I do it every single month, and hopefully you do the same. If you start stacking all of these different drugs together, and you want to know the drug interactions and how it affects your body from a health perspective, then, well, saving money on the performance-enhancing drugs that you can now shuttle to blood work, which you also get a discount on, I mean, sounds like a win-win to me, right? So my affiliates and sponsors are all linked down below. Head over to my website, vigoroussteve.com, for the ultimate source list, or everything you could possibly think about regarding over-the-counter supplements and whatever else we discussed in this video. It's all linked there with discount codes. Yeah, you'll save yourself a boatload of cash if you go through the right channels. Thank you guys so much for watching. Vigorous crew, you guys know what to do. A not so high estradiol front double bicep for you guys. Getting a lot of size, getting super strong. It's a lot of fun. Eating copious amounts of food is less fun, but hey, we need to boost that metabolism. And if I can recomp on 4,600 calories, imagine what happens if I pull the calories down to 3,000. Hell yes. I can't wait to be shredded again, because right now I'm fluffy AF. Nasty. See you guys in the next video.